thank you for this platform. I pray that you would guide me and my brother Daniel and Chris, if you can get us behind in here, and that you would just allow us to not have any agenda, but just to glorify you, have fun, and check in as brothers, and talk about where we're at in ministry, what we're doing here at school, and what ministry looks like for us at home. In Christ's name, amen. And I'm gonna 3, 2, 1, and welcome to another episode of the Hood Grace Podcast. My name is Rudy Rubio. I am one of the pastors at the Reformed Church of Los Angeles in the city of Linwood. And with me today, I'm going to have a couple of homies. One of them is here with us now, and I'll allow him to introduce himself. Brother.
So I'm Daniel Stidham, husband of Megan Stidham. She's my main event. You already know that's my full-time gig, but on the side, I get to be a campus pastor of a church replant in Oak Lawn, Southwest Chicago. Just moved there a couple months ago. Glad to be here.
So your main identity is husband of Megan.
Right, not child of God, not Christian, husband.
Wow.
We're one, bro.
Wow. So before you're a Christian, before you're a pastor, before you are a faithful follower of Jesus, you are the husband of Megan.
There is some idolatry there that I know.
Yes. So long as we identify it.
I know. I get it.
So long as we identify it.
So long as we identify it. But you got to meet her.
Yeah. She's a dope woman. I appreciate her. And just so that our listeners know right now, you will also soon be a father to Rudy with the I.
Yeah. Little girl named Rudy. We're hoping that she looks just like Rudy, just like
no,
him.
Yeah. Lord, no.
December 2nd,
December 2nd.
Yep, I'll be getting to welcome a newborn life.
Your first child.
Megan's doing all the work. Let's be real.
And I've been giving him a lot of crap. And I'm like, what are you gonna name the baby? Can you say what the baby's name is gonna be?
Oh yeah, Nora.
And I said, so are we gonna name her Rudy, like with the I? You know, because it's a girl. And he was like, look at me like, yeah, no, homie, like that's not happening.
That's not. You got to go through Megan. You got to go through my first love.
But his wife, she's glowing right now. She's pregnant. Mm-hmm. I saw her at breakfast, and she's a beautiful woman. She's a smart woman. Mm-hmm. And truth be told, bro, she may just be smarter than you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm gonna bask in her shade when it comes to towering intellect. She knows the Bible better than anyone else I know, and I know some Bible scholars. So that's why I married her.
Yeah, dope. And so you are currently in Chicago, but where were you before Chicago?
So I was in Houston, Texas. Represent anyone, Clutch City. We didn't clutch enough to get to the World Series, but we're going to be all right.
No, you didn't. Dodgers, baby. If you're watching right now, Dodgers.
But Houston, Texas, I was working at a Presbyterian church in Houston, and I was director of evangelism there. I was living in the 3rd Ward, getting to face what inner city, what cycles of poverty looks like, and let's just say it was a transformative experience. Because are you originally like from the inner city, or?
So
I'm from the sweater. I wasn't quite from the hood.
This fool said,
I'm from the sweater. I was from the sweater. It's called Southwest A-Leaf, Texas, the SWAT in Houston, Texas. Born in Kentucky, was there till I was 9. But yeah, so I grew up around, none of my high school best friends, that I know of, graduated. Really good. The Lord was moving though in that time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to deny those friends were fiercely loyal, but yeah, let's just say I had 8th grade or so was a transition where I had to make a decision.
And you made a decision for?
At that time, I had to make a decision if I was going to stay in school.
Wow.
Focus on school.
Real stuff.
Yeah.
Real stuff.
Yeah.
And if you can tell us a little bit of your ethnic background, maybe, or your ethnic makeup, just so. Everybody knows I'm from Mexico.
He's from Mexico, and I look like I'm from Dutch Polynesian, right? So
you look like you look kind of Mexican.
I'm looking Mexican. So I'm deceptive. I'm like culturally ambiguous. So I'm good for advertising. So if you're looking for anything like that, I'll take some money. But no, I'm half Filipino, quarter Italian, quarter Swedish.
Half Filipino, quarter Italian, quarter Swedish. In Spanish, we have a word for something like that. It's called capirotada. Capiotada is a dish that we make around Lent where you just like throw everything in there.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and where are we at right now, Daniel?
We're at Western Theological Seminary, represent Holland, Michigan. Let's
Holland,
go.
Michigan, baby. It's about 140 degrees below zero right now, and I'm in shorts. Right?
He is in shorts with a hoodie. That's it.
With an RCLA hoodie.
Oh, let me show mine.
Oh,
I'm repping my high school leather jacket. Represent the SWAT. That stood for Southwest A-League Texas and Students with a Testimony.
So look, forget about that. One thing you guys don't know, one thing you guys can't see, is my boy rocks a pouch, like a kangaroo pouch, like a fifth pocket, if you will. And you even got a blog. You even got a blog called The Fifth Pocket, right?
Fifthpocket.org. Check it out. Expect a surprise.
And my boy, I love him, but we clown him all the time because this dude has like everything but the kitchen sink up in his kangaroo pouch. Like we've been at spots and he'll pull out like toothpicks and like glass cleaners.
Yep.
One time he pulled out. We were out somewhere and he pulled out like this air pump and balloons and started making like balloon figures for kids, and it's like my boy has it all, huh?
Crystal Light,
Band-Aids, like a whole first aid kit. Like he's got one of those shocking pens, like if you're going to cardiac arrest or something. Like he's got everything in there. Clear, you know.
Yeah, that's right. It's powered by the Holy Spirit.
But so you transitioned recently from Houston, Texas. Right? After the Dodgers whooped on y'all, no, actually before that. You moved from Houston, Texas. You are now in the outskirts of Chicago. Doing what exactly? I know you mentioned at the beginning, but just to make sure we're on the same page and people understand you're doing what?
So I'm in 30 seconds. Church was dying, 50 to 60 members left. They thought, you know what, we need a church to take us over if we're going to survive. So this church, they went to churches and asked, and this church said yes if we find the right leader to turn this church around. So it's basically a church replant, but we're tearing down this to the studs of what we understand. And faithful people, they're desiring for gospel movement. It's just been a blast to get to be a part of it.
Yeah. So and it's such a common theme with churches that are dying everywhere. Churches that are dying. Churches that are on their last breath, churches that have 5 or 6 members left and are desperately trying to hold on. I really believe that they're deceived, thinking that if they get the right person to come in, it's going to change things around.
Right.
But they want to continue to do things the way they've always done and expect to change. And in the recovery world, right, because I've been heavily involved in the recovery world, that's called insanity, where you want to continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, you know? So they found the right person. I know they interviewed you. I know we talked about that a while back.
You were my reference, baby.
He said, "Hey, they're gonna call you up and they're gonna say, do you know Daniel Stidham?" I'm gonna say, "How much money you got? How much money you got?"
I could only give a handful of references. Yeah. We already made the cut.
Yeah. So I'm grateful to be friends with Daniel. I'm grateful to know his wife. Grateful to see how much you've grown. Like we've known each other. This is the 4th year that we've known each other because we started the seminary here in Holland, Michigan. 3.5 years ago, right?
Together, yeah.
You know, so we're in our 4th year now. We graduated in May, and to see him, like when we planted our church, like my blog, urbanchurchplanting.blog, you know, it started really because of Daniel. Because Daniel was like, bro, you got to start like documenting your journey. Like I want to learn from what you guys are doing, both good and bad, mistakes and victories. And I started the blog kind of because of you, because I wanted to document it, you know. So you're the one that gave me that encouraging nudge or push to start documenting our church planting journey. But what are some? Okay, so Christina from my church, she's asking church replant. Like, what are your thoughts on what are your thoughts, sir? Why that happens, like a church replant?
Wow. And she might be asking, how does a church decline? Is that what you think she's getting at?
No. Let's see. So, church replants or church revitalizations, I think it's even harder than planting a church.
Can be.
You know, and like I got a buddy right now. He's a good friend of mine. So if he's listening right now, his name is Pastor Kyle Blake. He is a part of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, LCMS. He's in Long Beach, and he is replanting / revitalizing, and it is really, really hard. because you have these saints that want to revamp the church. They want the church to grow, and they want to revitalize, but they don't want to change the way they've always done things. And like I said, it's insanity.
Right.
Like, what are some of your experiences thus far? And don't speak more than what you can or have to, or we're not trying to put you on the spot, you know?
Sure.
But maybe some of the pros and cons that you've experienced in the short amount of time.
Yeah,
doing this.
and to answer, she said yes. So she was responding to, why is it happening?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say there are probably only 5% of church. I mean, I'm making up numbers, but very small percentage of churches in the U.S. are probably growing. I'd say most churches are either declining or plateauing, meaning they're losing members, but they're gaining members at the same rate. So they're probably just staying pretty even or just marginal growth. Probably very few percent, probably single-digit churches are actually growing, is my guess. And what I think is happening to some musical churches.
At least solid churches.
Sure, solid churches, yeah. Houston's got a lot of those, both on solid and interesting.
Yeah, they range from like Matt Chandler to like Joel Osteen.
Correct.
And everything in between.
Everything in between.
All right.
Especially Houston's wild mega church city. So what I think happens is I have two theories on it. I think one is called the shepherding cycle.
Okay, explain.
Shepherd cycle. So this isn't, I haven't read this in a book, take this with a grain of salt. I think a new pastor gets hired, he's young, he attracts young people. When you preach, you hold a story.
Yeah.
You're holding, and when people come in and you say, oh, he's holding my story, you come back.
Okay.
So when you come in and you're young, you got young kids, you preach, and what story are you holding?
Yeah.
Young kids.
Or through what lens are you projecting that story?
Exactly. Okay. You can only project through so you're holding stories. People come, and then what happens is as people come, you start focusing on the children's ministry, which is beautiful, wonderful. But then you're taking care of children, and what's everyone going through in life?
Yeah.
They're tired. They don't have time to do mission. It's the best they can do to get to church.
Yeah.
It's the best they can do to drop their kids off and get to Bible study. The last thing you want to ask people to do is go love your neighbor.
Yeah.
It's a shepherding cycle where, I'm tired, they're tired, this nonstop competitive culture that just has everyone exhausted.
Yeah.
Sabbath is being neglected. And the last thing we got to do, we want to tell people in that cycle is, especially young families, Go do mission.
Go do more stuff.
Go do more stuff.
Go do more.
So as a shepherd, and you're growing though. Keep in mind you're growing.
Yeah.
So then the children's ministry is growing, and then what grows after children's ministry?
Youth
ministry.
Yeah.
So you're growing and you're growing and you're growing because people are coming to take in these services and they're getting discipled and their families are getting discipled. And then what happens? Who gets older?
Yeah.
The pastor. The pastor gets older. Whose stories is he holding?
Yeah.
High school kid.
Yeah.
He starts holding older stories.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that young talent in, it's a shepherding cycle. So I think every church life cycle begins with a young pastor going 30, 40 years, growing through that, and then he stops holding the story of the younger generation.
Or and let me just chime in. Or is that he never gives anybody else a voice to tell the story as well.
Correct.
Or hold the story.
Correct.
And I think that's a huge mistake. So I know that like for a lot of churches that can be the case. I know in other churches, like in our case, is where a church loses or actually there's a disconnect between the ethnic demographic of the church leadership and the community, where the church remains the same homogenous and the community starts to be more and more diverse. Typically it's Anglo leadership, Anglo pastor, Anglo leadership, Anglo church. And as the community starts to change and shift towards ethnic minorities, blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians, blacks, Asians, Latinos, the church doesn't adjust.
Right.
The church doesn't shift, and it stays that way. And as a generation starts to die off, the church starts to dwindle. The church starts to pretty much be on life support. And there are so many churches that are that way now. And I don't know if that's what happened at the church that you're at, or not?
This is a very Dutch church, historically Dutch, CRC church in Oklahoma.
You ain't Dutch, you ain't much.
These are the folks, their grandparents, their parents flew from Inglewood. We talk white flight, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying their words, so I'm not trying to accuse them of anything. They flew from Inglewood.
Inglewood, California?
Inglewood, Chicago, South Side.
Inglewood, Chicago.
South Side, Chicago, where a lot of it's almost one of the epicenters of South Side Chicago crime.
Okay.
They flew from there, went to Oaklawn, and as that people continue flying further out. That's what's happening.
White flight.
And they keep going.
Yeah.
The suburbs are getting further and further out. People want new homes. They don't want old homes. So Oaklawn is experiencing, well, it has already experienced a Dutch population that have moved out. So when you're only a monoculture, and this church's name is and was Calvin Christian Reformed Church, I mean, you're not attracting anybody but people who are Reformed, Calvinist.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a church being called Calvin just because I'm a Calvinist and I'm Reformed.
Granted, I acknowledge that could be a draw for some. But for many in a Catholic neighborhood, Calvin who?
Yeah, exactly.
Calvin Hobbes?
Exactly.
So Dutch population migrated. You've got just a changing demographic. You've got, I mean, every church goes through its struggles. I mean, and there's not a church that starts to decline that doesn't start fighting each other.
Yeah.
And
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So what are some of the things or the benefits that you'd be? Because we don't want to just like be Debbie Downer, just like it's all bad. You know, what do you think some of the good parts of that you think you can take and incorporate to help further the cause in the kingdom work that you're doing at Oaklawn?
When I see the heart of these people, what they're doing is so courageous. They are willing to be open-handed with their worship style. Wow. And you already know, denominations have split.
No organ, no
well,
hymns,
they're open-handed with it. It's gonna be interesting. They're willing to be contemporary, which is huge. And what's going on?
My homie Jonathan DeGroot. Shout out Jonathan. He's my boy from Scotland.
I'm in
the hood.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to the homie Jonathan DeGroot in Glasgow, Scotland. He's part of the Free Church of Scotland. He's a church planner.
Come on, Free Church. They try to get me. The EV Free Church
I'm not sure if it's the same.
Oh, it might be different.
EV Free and Free Church of Scotland. I don't think
probably
it's the same
different.
thing.
Probably
Maybe they're first cousins.
But they might be related.
Yeah.
But
So Christina from our church is asking, what encourages you the most in your congregation? Kind of like what I asked. There's got to be some of the good from the past that you can use.
Man, these people have been so. I have never felt more loved, and I'm not trying to shade anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, when I came in and we were in a really raw place, they all wore fanny packs on the first day. All of them. Hold on, let me just show this really quick. This is it. I'm not trying to show. This is the experience right here. All of them had
the experience
had a fifth pocket with the new name of the church on it.
Wow, that's crazy, bro.
And so that was just a picture of what their support was. And secondly, I mean, we've had the gifts and talents there, but here's the thing: they're willing, and that's the encouragement. The encouragement is it's a posture.
Yeah,
they're willing. They're we talk about how sanctification works. God does the work, but we literally just make ourselves available. They are so willing, so courageous, and willing to take a risk on this Filipino American from Houston that isn't Dutch, that doesn't didn't go to private school. There are a lot of different things that normally people would say no.
He wears a fanny pack, like just
when I preach too. So
you wear a fanny pack when you preach?
When I preach, bro.
No,
it's my mission of
come on, bro.
Well, you never know.
Come on,
you never know. I had to be me, and Ron said,
"This fool wears a fanny pack when he preaches."
You gotta look it up the video, but their willingness, and here's what they came to. They came to the point where they said, "We're better together."
Yeah.
And how many people?
We're better together.
We're better together.
Amen.
And so it's a beautiful thing. I've been so encouraged by the people kind of joining the vision team. But this, to me, I'm hoping this becomes a missional model.
Yeah.
That this should be happening all over the country.
It should, bro. There are situations where. Why did our video get interrupted? There are situations where. No, it's still going. There are situations where people, they're just some stubborn saints, man. Where they don't wanna budge. They don't wanna change. They don't wanna do things different. Like this is the way we've always done things, and that's not cool because there's. So just to know that you got a group of people that are vision casting, that have open hands for worship, and that are willing to change up the way things have always gone, like for the sake of the kingdom, for the sake of keeping the doors open, for the sake of a future and a hope in that church that can be revitalized, replanted, and get new people to know about Jesus.
Well,
man, bro.
And here's the thing: the change in worship isn't going to bring anybody.
No.
It might let people, it lowers the barrier. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about lowering
It's
barriers.
one less filter.
It's one less barrier. It's not now a high jump, it's a low jump to some extent. It's still a jump though. The difference that I've encouraged them is until strangers are eating at your home, they will never eat communion with you at church.
Yeah.
Never.
It's the truth, yeah. It's the truth, because it's one thing just to go to church on Sunday. Hey, brother, God bless you. Hey, sister, God bless you. But if there's no kind of interaction or fellowship outside the church, it's not a church family.
Ruby, tell me this. Why don't we do the passing of the peace at the end of the service so that people can connect and go to lunch together in that natural connection?
I don't know. We do it in the middle of the service.
Right.
Because usually at the end of the service, like our service is kind of late. And people like really try, and most of our people like we do connect. Like we have missional communities so that after the service, every other Sunday, what we do is we hurry up and pack up, and then we go. Like one of them's at my home. We have a potluck, we eat, and then we study. Yeah. Because it's like 2:00 and people are hungry.
Oh, I get it. I get it. They quickly go together. I'm thinking about the connections that happen during the passing of the peace, and why that. If it was just moved to the end, it would be natural to say, "Hey, what's your name, Daniel? Hey." Yeah, you're right though. People are trying to get out of there, and that.
But you guys do it. But you guys do the passing of the peace. Now, let's say for instance, where we're at, by the grace of God, our little church is growing. People are growing. We're not just growing in numbers. Like people are growing in their knowledge of Christ, and it's impossible to grow in your knowledge of Christ and not love God more and serve God more and be more obedient. Right. But I always love the opportunity to hear other people's stories and be encouraged by them. To learn from them, to gain wisdom from people. Because one of the main things I know is that I don't know it all. Right. One of the main things that Chris and I know is that we don't know it all. Right. And we always want to learn. So I'm encouraged to hear your story, encouraged to have read your blog, and to see how well you're being received by the saints. And we're just really excited, bro, for what God's going to do there. Do you guys have a date that you guys...
So man, this isn't public, but...
if you can share your timeline, cool.
Yeah, potentially holding loosely, soft launch Easter, with a full launch September. Okay. So we're looking at kicking the tires, making sure we know what we're doing. I mean, even then we won't know what we're doing, but just getting more time for discipleship with the big push in September next year. Yeah. So we have one thing that we do have is some time. Yeah. And I've gotten to see God build. Let me be clear on that. God's been building a vision team, which is what I call our transitional leadership team. They're casting the vision, and we're going to go on a retreat before the end of this year, and I'm all about it. But one thing I want to encourage people is my whole thing is evangelism. I'm one trick pony. I do evangelism. I'm missional. I can't help but keep thinking about the non-Christian in the room. And I just want to encourage people, if you're out there trying to figure out how to love somebody, just know that you're just a witness, not lawyer.
And do evangelism as a proactive stance in ministry. Correct. And not reactive. Because earlier we had a conversation with somebody, and we're not going to throw this person under the bus because it wouldn't be good for our health here at the seminary, right? But what was the comment that was made?
So a lot of people are turning to evangelism when their church is declining. Yep. Which I think will always generally lead to unhealthy evangelism. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're doing that out of desperation. Right. Like our numbers are dwindling. Like, come, we need to go. And let me go out and bring people in. And Jesus did talk about bringing everybody in, but I mean, we shouldn't be doing that out of desperation. We're just grasping for air because
we love people out of health. We don't love people up because we need to fill rooms and seats. I do think decline though God can use to wake us up to our need to love people.
So there's a exponential. You're familiar with exponential. And I remember reading, I don't know if it was an article or a journal or ebook or whatever, but it was called Dying to Restart. Where the essence of what the article's saying is to replant or revitalize a church, like you pretty much got to put a bullet through its head and kill it and decimate it and make sure there's no remnant left over. Replant? Yeah, I'm just telling you what it said, and feel free to read it. Yep. And you may think it's wise, you may think it's the stupidest thing ever, But in order to really start, you have to get rid of everything from the past in order to start over again and not have the ugly parts of the past, not the beauty, but the ugly parts rearing its ugly head to where it's going to hinder you from moving forward and really changing things.
So the nuance I'd give to that is when we say ugly parts, we're not saying what was there was bad.
No.
And that it was ugly. I know what you're using.
Yeah.
You're using a term of phrase, but so nuancing it would say the hymns weren't bad, the organ's not bad. None of what they were doing was bad. It just wasn't translating.
Yeah.
So when you're in a new country and you're speaking your old language, you're never going to reach the locals.
Yeah.
Just never will. So what I would say, I see it more like power washing a house you're about to repaint.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So you got a power.
So we don't got to knock the whole house down.
I think because then you take the chips, the paint that's coming off, flaking off. That's got to come off.
Yeah.
But there's paint that will remain. And what is going to stay the same is the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to stay the same is hospitality. What is going to stay the same is all these other beautiful things that they've been living into.
The sound theology and doctrine and the history
so
and culture.
we power wash and we say, look at what remains.
Yeah.
But now it's time for the new coat.
Yeah.
Because if we try to repaint too quickly,
Yeah.
that's what I think is going to be our most biggest challenge is power washing, finding the beauty, taking off the things that are more formed, not functioning well, and celebrating those things. So I would say you don't have to necessarily kill the what was going on. I think you've got to celebrate what was good.
Definitely celebrate.
But the leadership is different. You cannot have the same leadership.
Yeah, and especially if you're diverse. Is your community diverse?
The community we live in is very diverse. The community I'm working with is not.
Okay, good. Okay, so it's good that you're there.
Correct.
That you're.
I'm the only black-haired person in the church.
Really?
Correct.
Wow. Is that the rest are blonde or gray haired?
Both. Yeah, they're just
okay.
yeah.
Cool. So the homie Jack Berry is chiming in from Tacoma, Washington. He's just talking crap and joking around like always. But the little homie Jonathan Gonzalez from Reno, Nevada, he's asking because you're the evangelist.
Sure.
Do you have any great? He says great insights and any good books you could recommend on evangelism, Daniel.
100%. So first book, Nonviolent Communication.
Nonviolent. The seminary with Chuck's class, right?
Yes, sir. That's a pastoral care
Chuck
book.
DeGroat. Woo woo.
That's right, Chuck. I'm telling you, nonviolent communication. Learn how to listen.
Mm-hmm.
If you can learn how to listen and understand where they're coming from, it is impossible to give directions from someone that you don't know where they are.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to say, "Hey, Daniel, how do I get to Holland?" and I didn't ask, "Where are you?"
Yeah.
I couldn't.
You're right.
So if we can't listen, evangelism will always be poor.
Gotcha.
Nonviolent communication, because most evangelists are violent in their communication.
Ooh.
They are coming at strong and hard because they're right, but they're more concerned about being right than they are about being caring.
It's not the message; it's how they're portraying
exactly.
the message.
And the truth, it will push away those who don't want
yeah.
truth. 100%. I'm not trying to water anything down. I'm just saying that if someone's coming to me saying, "I can't believe a God would let people die, in this and this and this," I reflect back.
Yeah.
When I hear you say this, you feel this, because you have this need or value for justice.
You're reaffirming that you're hearing what
I'm
they're saying.
hearing the God-given value that they have, and then I ask a request. I say, would you consider that the God that I know, it actually fulfills that seeking of justice more than you could ever imagine. If I can listen well and sit in their story, every first evangelist encounter I have is 95% listening.
Wow.
And if we don't bite our tongues and have a bloody mouth by the end of it, you will do it violently, and people will be pushed away.
That's
now,
dope.
the second one that I would say, that's listening, that's not all evangelism is. Proclamation, man, there aren't very many.
I got one. But I'll wait till the end. So one, our dean that we were having lunch with today, he mentioned J.I. Packer's Evangelism and the Sovereignty of God. We took our leadership team to that, and it was like so freaking dope, man. But there's one by Kevin Harney. Kevin Harney wrote a series of books, but there's one called Organic Outreach. And it's organic outreach for ordinary people. And it just gives you so many different techniques on how to share, no matter where you're at, whether you're in an elevator, in an airplane, at a restaurant, and some of those things really work. So Jonathan, Nonviolent Communication by
Marshall Rosenberg.
Organic Outreach for Ordinary People by Kevin Harney, and J.I. Packer's Evangelism, the Sovereignty of God.
And the other, if you're looking for pragmatic tools, Training for Trainers by Ying Kai and Steve Smith. Those are some T for T guys, No Place Left, shout out. Those guys gave me some really helpful tools. T for T is what you're looking for. And then one more, I still think Mark Middleberg and Bill Hybels' is Becoming a Contagious Christian is still helpful.
Dope. If you guys got any questions or comments, bring them in before we begin to close in a few minutes, because over here in Michigan It is 6:56, almost 7 o'clock, and I am so sleep deprived, bro. Like, you have no idea, my boy. I'm sitting up in class, and I'm like,
yeah, he was starting to go. He was starting to go, and I was trying to wake him up.
Yeah. I'm excited, bro. I'm really excited for you, man.
I appreciate that.
Our boy Chris Brosette never came. He's still in a class that was supposed to take 30 minutes. And it's been like an hour and 30 minutes, so we're just probably going to close this without him. Christina Gonzalez said to be slow to speak and quick to hear. Amen. But yeah, bro, anything that you want to share with the people who are watching or listening before we come to a close? Anything you want to share?
2 questions. And if you can't answer them, I'm going to beg you to pray about it and ask the Lord to give you the answer.
You're talking to me or you're talking to the people that are listening to us?
Both.
Okay.
If you can't answer these 2 questions, I'm longing for you to be able to. Who are you discipling and who's discipling you? And if you can't give, I'm saying no more than 4 names. 2 you're pouring into, 2 are pouring into you.
Okay.
If you can't answer those questions right now and that you're not interceding on their behalf, I'm begging you. Jesus had 3, which led to how many disciples left? Do you know who the 3 were?
Baby.
Do you know who the 3 were?
It was Andrew.
Come on, Peter. Jesus had 3. Transfiguration. Where's he going?
Oh, you're talking about the first disciples.
Jesus had 3. Who were his 3?
Why are you going to ask me in front of 100,000
Come on,
people,
Peter,
bro?
John, and James. Okay,
Hey, man.
Right?
Just making me look bad, bro.
So here we go. We had 10.
What's up with this?
So there's 12 minus 3. How many are left?
9. Yeah.
3, 3, and 3. My question is, do you know your 3? Because
3.
Jesus focused on 3 and saw a movement.
Okay.
I think too often we are not intentional enough with 3. Give your life to 3 people, you're going to change the world. God's going to do it.
Give your life to 3 people.
Give them 60 to 90 days of your every year. Lives will be changed. Focus on 3. It won't fill rooms, but it will fill the kingdom.
Okay, that was one question.
Yep.
The second one.
Well, that was it. Who is discipling you, and who are you discipling?
Okay, good. Really good stuff, man. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Daniel, we have a group of people here now. Any of you guys want to come in and say hello?
Yeah, come on.
Just jump in, okay? Just jump in real quick.
Just come over here.
Come on, guys.
Don't be scared, man.
Holland's finest.
We just had the Midwest just jumped in.
Iowa's finest. So yeah. Oh my gosh.
Somebody sit down.
Yeah, you stay down.
Reckless.
So remember, it's both audio and video, okay? So audio and video. So if you're gonna say something, make sure you say big old hands, bro. Big old bear claws, bro. So you guys introduce yourselves really quick.
I'm Kurt Bush
Steve Meester.
Wait. You're Kurt Bush from where?
from Davenport, Iowa.
Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah.
Dope. What do you do in Davenport, Iowa?
I'm an associate pastor at Christ Family Church.
There you go. How about you, sir, with the Western hat?
I thought you swore.
Steve Meester in Leicester, Iowa.
Wait, you thought what?
I thought you swore.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'm a
Come
Christian,
on,
bro.
he's talking.
I'm
That's
sorry.
the
You're
Reformed
good.
Church.
You're good.
Say it again because I was disruptive.
Hey, Steve Meester in Leicester, Iowa.
Leicester, Iowa, which is a small town in
Small town.
In where?
Northwest Iowa.
Northwest Iowa, baby.
Iowa, baby.
That's the Reform.
If y'all don't know, Iowa's a state.
Iowa's a
It's next to Illinois.
And they have flush toilets.
Tim Heisinger from Highland, Indiana.
Highland, Indiana. And
Associate pastor at Faith Church.
what country is Indiana in? Oh, excuse me.
This guy's my forerunner.
Where are you from?
Jen Van Cleve from Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm in the prison system.
You're in the Wait, how do you get out? You work with people in the
I
prison
work
system.
with people
Come
in the
on,
praise
prison
God.
system.
Come on.
Me, having been an ex-felon, I could really... Why you laugh, bro?
The way you got out.
It wasn't fun, bro.
I know.
No, I really have a deep appreciation for people who take the time out of their lives and the passion to work with a group of people that a lot of people shy away from
Yeah.
and cross the street to get away from. Or when they walk in their church, they want to send somebody else to go talk to them, but don't take the initiative themselves. So mad props. How about you, brother?
Hey, Jeremy Van Genderen, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, youth, young adults, Applebee's
You
employees.
said that fast. You're like one of those guys at the auctions, bro.
Yeah,
That was pretty fast. How
gotta
about,
say it fast, man.
can you see this little dude behind me?
Real small.
Yeah, I'm Chris Godfredson. I'm a bridge builder.
You're a what?
Yeah, I build bridges.
You build bridges?
Mhm.
Like literally bridges? Like concrete and rebar bridges? Or
Sure.
and where are you from?
Northwest Iowa.
Northwest Iowa. Everybody from Northwest Iowa, baby?
No,
No.
Just
people are
Iowa.
from Omaha and
Nebraska.
Southwest Iowa.
Yeah. Well, these are my friends. All of us, we started together, right?
Woo!
So all the people that, if you could see, all the people here we started, this is our 4th year. 4th year seminary. We started in Greek class. We've shared victories together. We've mourned some losses together. We keep tabs on each other's lives. our lives in ministry has changed drastically over the 4 years. Like people taking churches on that you've grown up in. Steve, like how long have you been at that church that you're at?
50 years.
Speak a little louder.
50 years, man.
He's old.
He said 50 years.
50 years.
He's only 49, but he's been there for 50 years.
Hey, starts at conception.
Right. How about you took a new job before you were working a secular job, right?
Yeah.
He was cutting down
18 years in sales.
18 years in sales.
Now started at the church I was raised in.
Wow, praise God! And you're an associate pastor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how about you? You're getting more involved with the prison system, right?
Right, yeah, I'm in there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's always telling me about people's stories and how you share my testimony, and I'm always touched.
Yeah.
Can I share that? Share that. It's not my story. It's God's story, right? And my boy, outside of them being like Chicago fans, like we're really good friends.
Yeah.
Like we're really good friends.
Yeah.
Close.
Go Cubs. Next year.
And this big old dude, Chris Godfredson, I don't think we've had a bigger supporter. And I don't mean money. I mean just like biggest supporter, like cheerleader, like encourager. Like one time he even made me cry, bro. You know what I'm talking about? One day I was just like going through it, like, and because we're pastors, like you can't just open up to anybody.
Right.
You can't just like if people knew some of the stuff, and we got way off topic, but since we're here, like if people knew some of the stuff that we think about, they'll be like, "Hey man, get off the pulpit. You can't be preaching right now." You know what I'm saying? And I was really going through it, and I remember I don't want to get choked up, bro, but I was going through a really hard time, and just the minute I heard his voice, I just kind of like, and he just started praying for me. I had to pull over because I couldn't drive. I had tears in my eyes, a big one out in my throat. And to have somebody in your life that you could do that with, and I think I've done that for him before. You know, not the tears, but just like he's already big, but he was getting green, and his clothes were starting to rip off. And, you know, it's like, and I was able to hear him out and pray for him. But I just think that God has gifted me. You know, I don't know how you guys feel, but has gifted me with so many friends and family all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Just that we can count on. Like we were talking about Daniel's story and how where he's at now. Like, dude, you're gonna take over a church. You know what I'm saying? Like, God is trusting us with people's souls, with their lives, with their marriages, with their kids, because with their stories. When something happens, like we're the ones that they reach out to. You know, so I'm just blessed to know you guys, man. I love you guys. I'm blessed to know you guys.
Good. We love you.
We love you.
Yeah, thanks. I'll give you guys $5 afterwards.
Yeah.
Christina from our church said hi to everybody.
Johanna, peace.
Peace.
Irene.
Wasn't expecting that, but that was cool.
That was fun.
Tito, give me some tissue.
How'd you guys know we were in here?
It's on Facebook Live, bro. What do you mean? Dude, it's on Facebook Live, bro. What do you mean? All right, Daniel. Well, hey, bro, I had fun, man.
This was good.
I had fun. Is there anything else you want to say before we let go, before we get off, before we say bye to everybody?
Mission in every moment, and don't let mission compete with your life. Your life is mission. I'm not asking you to do anything new, but just to do everything you do. Play on purpose.
Work hard, play hard.
Work on purpose.
Everything to the name of Jesus.
And pray for 4 non-Christians a week and see what happens.
You guys hear that? Pray for 4 non-Christians a week.
See what happens.
It's too late, bro. You want to come in and say hi real quick?
Just come in quick. We're
Sit down,
signing
sit down,
off.
sit down. I'm going to give you 3
What's
minutes.
an
Sit right there.
AOL? Sign off.
Sit right there. Chump, been waiting for him for like 45 minutes already.
Crazy.
Sit down, sit right there in that chair, please, and just introduce yourself really quick.
And whatever,
Bro, the microphone's right here, bro.
whatever these guys had to say, like I don't know what to do about it. So I just came to just undermine everything they just said.
They can't hear
We
you.
were talking about our stories. I'm a church planter. Daniel is replanting a church, and I don't know if you want to share real quick, like in 2 or 3 minutes, like your experience where you're at in ministry right now, or you don't have to, like whatever, you know, because you're one of the few people that I know that have done something and done something the right way, you know.
Yeah, how far you want to go into that?
2 or 3 minutes, you know what I'm saying, like.
Face this.
Yeah, face this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so planted a church 6 years ago. Been part of church planting in LA for almost 10 years, and after 6 years, landed the plane. We ended up closing shop about 8 weeks ago, just really, if I could say like some of the things I learned from that, really, when I think of like what the end of Refuge was,
The name of the church was?
Refuge LA. So we planted Refuge LA. You can look it up, Refuge LA. Man, God did wonderful work. Had wonderful people. Love all of our people. If I could give just a few things that I learned was some of the things that resulted in the ending of Refuge started way back in the beginning. And so some of the stuff you do early on really has effects over the long haul. And so we really just kind of came to the end of our ability to really do what God was asking us to do, just resources, capacity, leadership, and really it took its course. And so we came to a spot where we said, hey, you know what? We've done tons of great work for Jesus, but we're not that special. Like, God doesn't need us. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need us. And really, God isn't asking us to kill ourselves or kill our volunteers or anything.
Or your family.
Or our family to accomplish His mission. And we could come to the end of a missions trip, a long missions trip, an extended missions trip, and praise God for all that He's done. And it was crazy, man. Our last service was the biggest service we ever had, which was crazy, weird, and confusing, and awkward, and crazy. But
Mixed emotions all over the place. Yeah.
But ultimately, I think some of the key things that God is showing me is that man, He's in all things. He uses all things to grow us, to grow others, and really that I don't get to determine, or I don't have the ability to decide what is most advantageous for the gospel.
Yeah.
My job is to be faithful, to love my family, to recognize my limitations, and to honor God in all things, even when He asks us to do something that might not make sense or is hard. And so that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm tired. 10 hours a day of school. So.
Yeah, and we're at we told everybody we're at Western Theological Seminary. This is your first intensive. Thoughts on the intensive so far? You enjoying it? You hating it? You loving it?
I mean, if Rudy wasn't here, it'd be a lot better. But I'm just trying to I'm glad. I'm glad I got to meet my brother right here because he made everything better. But
I did initiate, huh? I saw
did,
you.
Yeah, he made a balloon.
That's right.
Actually, somebody told me he makes balloons.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, guys, we'll probably record another podcast either tomorrow or Friday
For sure.
Before we leave, because there's a lot of people here that I want to talk about and just hear what the people that are watching and listening have to say and ask. Christina from our church said to tell you that she's praying for you, Chris. Encourage hope, and yes, the Lord doesn't need us, but we have that heart for Him. Your homie Sam, our homie Sam Davitt said, "My boy Chris, what's up, homie?" You know what I mean? And Charlie Contreras in Munster, Indiana, from Faith Church. You know, shout out to you too, Charlie. Thanks for chiming in, guys. We've been on for 42 minutes now, so I think we're gonna sign out for now, and we'll be back again Thursday or Friday on Eastern Standard Time, right? It's Eastern Standard Time, 3 hours. So up until then, please make sure you get your behinds up and go to church on Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. Go to your local church. If your local church is whack, then go to a church closest to you that is closest to the Bible. If you're in the LA area, Compton, Watts, Linwood, stop by Reformed Church LA at 3801 Cortlandt Street in the city of Linwood. We worship at 12 noon. If anybody is near Oak Lawn,
Southwest Chicago, come to 10056 Central Avenue, 101st and Central, 10 o'clock.
and if anybody, well, go ahead,
yeah,
Chris.
and my homie Sam, who's right there, Sam Davitt right there. If you're in the San Fernando Valley or anywhere close, hit them up. They're about to plant the church, and they're developing a core team right now. So
Do we got a name for that
jump
church
on
yet?
in. Kingdom Reality LA. So that's
Kingdom Reality LA.
Yeah, remind me to talk about church name.
Yeah.
Sorry for them. Nah, but for reals, man, they love Jesus. They love Jesus, and they are building a core team right now, and God is really working with them. So
I heard that Refuge blessed them with some stuff upon closing, right?
man,
Which is a good thing, bro. Not trying to hold on to, you know.
God bless them. God bless them.
Amen. Well, through His servants, through the saints, you know. So, all right, y'all. God bless you. Lord be with you, make his face to shine upon you, and be gracious to you, and we'll be back.
Real quick,
Peace.
Sam, that plug was $30 and $30, 2 lunches.
Sushi, steak and lobster.
Sushi, steak and lobster. We could probably do a Benihana's. I'm cool with that. So just letting you know, Sam, that plug cost you, bro.
Peace. We out.